People just don't trust us. So says CBS. Prove that we can trust you, dudes. We're going to talk about that coming up. Little Timmy Walls throws a tantrum. Aww. And without George Washington, we would not be having a 250th anniversary. We're going to pay tribute to one of our greatest founding fathers. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. Happy Friday. A little bit of sanity, a little bit of insanity. We're going to mix it all in there and go from there, see what we got. It's a Friday. Thank goodness for that. Marilyn, good morning. Be blessed. We are blessed because you're along for the ride. And praise the Lord indeed. Oh, my goodness. We got so much going on. There is a ton of stuff to talk about on this second day of a brand new year, 2026. Man, I just got a feeling about this year. I don't know what it is. Something big is going to happen. The field is wide open. UFO intelligence, disclosure of some kind. I don't know what. Something major, earth-shatteringly big is going to go down sometime this year. I feel it in my bones, as my grandpa used to say. All right. Hey, we tried to go live on YouTube, but as usual, it ain't working, so we'll upload the VOD version of the show after the show is through being live. If I'm not mistaken, we are probably live on X. Let me just head over there very quickly and give a quick look and just confirm we should be there. Yeah, we're there. Okay, so we're on X and Rumble. Those are the only two that really matter. We don't really give a fat rat's ass about YouTube because they don't give a fat rat's butt about us. Okay, before we get started, we want to tell you about Patriot Mobile. Folks, whenever something goes viral, you can rest assured that a whole bunch of other companies which are not sharing our values are going to jump on the bandwagon. They're going to be all about, oh, we're a Christian conservative outlet. We believe in the things bull crap. Not true. Don't work that way. For more than 10 years, though, Patriot Mobile has been America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And where are they? There we go. Are they there? Somewhere? Maybe? I don't know. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah. Should be there. Don't know why. There you go. PatriotMobile.com/J. They're right there with us in the fight. They've been a great supporter of this show, the only cell phone service provider that is actually on the front lines with us, defending our freedom. They have dependable nationwide coverage. They use all three major networks. That means when you make the switch, you get exactly the same coverage you have now. It is not going to change. You keep your phone number. You can upgrade your phone if you want. They do have plans that include that, but you don't have to. Their customer service is 100% U.S. based. That means you'll be talking to somebody who's right there with us in this country, and they are there to help you. They're there to put you in a plan that will fit your budget and your needs. They're not there to upsell you and try and get you a package that you can't afford. They're all about making it comfortable and easy for you to get switched. Like I said, you keep your phone number, same coverage, 100% US-based customer service. And when you use our link to sign up, you will get a free month. Yep, free month of service when you switch to Patriot Mobile using our link. You just go there, find out more. If you want, talk to customer service right off the bat. They're there to help you. Unlimited talk and text, U.S.-based support, guaranteed coverage, and here is one of the most important things about Patriot Mobile. They share our values. This is 100% a Christian, conservative company that really does care about the things you and I care about. PatriotMobile.com/J, and the link is in our show notes. Please go over there, check them out. You'll be convinced. You will get yourself signed up and make that switch. Thanks, Patriot Mobile, for being there. We appreciate that. Okay, panic mode. Tony DeCouple. I hope I'm saying that right. He will be the new Walter Cronkite of CBS. Yep, he's taken over the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCouple. He vows to report for you, not the left. CBS, corporate media credibility, falling left and right, and they're apparently trying to, this whole Barry Weiss thing that she had going on, she sounds like she's not putting up with any crap. Maybe. We will find out. The truth is in the pudding. Incoming CBS Evening News anchor, Tony DeCouple, admitted what we've known all along. Legacy media, corporate media, their credibility is absolutely in the toilet, flushed away. Years of bias, lies, pandering to the left, pandering to their corporate sponsors, pandering to advertisers. He's confirmed last month as the next evening news anchor under newly installed editor-in-chief Barry Weiss, whom we kind of like. Replacing outgoing anchors, John Dickerson and Maurice Dubois, both of whom exited the role after starting up less than a year ago, and they're already gone. New Year's Day message, DeCouple openly acknowledged that legacy media has completely lost their trust with the viewing public. And here is just, can we play? Well, yeah, it's a couple minutes long, but I think it's worth it. Take a look at this big announcement from the new anchor, Tony.
A lot has changed since the first person sat in this chair, but for me, the biggest difference is people do not trust us like they used to. And it's not just us, it's all of legacy media. And I get it. I get it because I've been hearing about it from just about everybody for more than 20 years as I've traveled America on this assignment or that. My mom's neighbors in West Virginia, my own neighbors in New York City, thousands and thousands of conversations in between. Sometimes people want to talk to me about our coverage of NAFTA or the Iraq War. Other times it's all about Hillary Clinton's emails or Russiagate. Or more recently, COVID lockdowns, Hunter Biden's laptop, or the president's fitness for office. The point is, on too many stories, the press has missed the story because we've taken into account the perspective of advocates and not the average American. Or we put too much weight in the analysis of academics or elites and not enough on you. And I know this because at certain points, I have been you. I have felt this way too. I felt like what I was seeing and hearing on the news didn't reflect what I was seeing and hearing in my own life, and that the most urgent questions simply weren't being asked. So here's my promise to you, today and every time you see me in this chair. You come first, not advertisers, not politicians, not corporate interests. And yes, that does include the corporate owners of CBS. I report for you, which means I tell you what I know, when I know it, and how I know it. And when I get it wrong, I'll tell you that too. It also means I'm going to talk to everybody and hold everyone in public life to the very same standard. After all, I became a journalist to talk to people. I love talking to people about what works in this country, what doesn't, and not only what should change, but the good ideas that should never change. I think telling the truth is one of them. I'm Tony DeCouple, the anchor of the CBS Evening News. Hold me to it.
Wow. You know as much as I do, because you probably feel the same way. We are done with the corporate media. We're finished. We don't get our news from these idiot sources. If he means what he says, and just because he's the anchor, you think he's just some, well-coiffed, bobble-headed speaking guy who doesn't get involved. He is actually considered the editor of the CBS Evening News. So he does have a lot of say into what goes on behind the scenes in their newscast that they put together. So we can only hope, and I really, really do hope, because I don't want to see these corporate medias, CBS, ABC, NBC. I don't want to see them die. I want to see the competition. I want to see it get out there. Give us a run for our money. Get back in the game. Nobody believes you anymore. Nobody trusts you, just like our thumbnail said. They don't trust us. And you're right. We don't. New Year's Day message, he openly acknowledged right there, you just saw it, that corporate media has lost the public's trust. Unbelievable. I like what he had to say, though. I really do. This comes as CBS News undergoes a huge purge. New editor-in-chief Barry Weiss, she is kicking ass and taking names. She was once a columnist, by the way, at the New York Times, but hounded out of her position by liberal mean girls, social justice warriors, kicked her out. She left the Times, started her own publication called the Free Press. It became so successful, she was bought out and hired to take over at CBS News. Good on CBS. She's only been in charge for a very short time, but big changes already underway. CBS parent company Paramount Global announced in October last year it had made roughly 2,000 layoffs, including 100 newsroom positions, and eliminated the news network's controversial Race and Culture Unit, an international ideological department. They created that during the Summer of Love riot back in 2020. According to CBS reports, canceled CBS Morning Plus, CBS Evening News Plus, shut down their South Africa bureau, revamped their Saturday morning programming. You know what I miss most of all, by the way, on CBS? Charles Kuralt. He's been long past, but man, what a guy. Remember Sunday Morning with Charles Kuralt? If you're old enough, you will. One of my absolute favorites. And that guy, boy, he could tell a story. Was on the road with Charles Kuralt, CBS Sunday Mornings. Absolutely brilliant way to start your Sundays. Paramount CEO David Ellison confirmed that direction change with an internal memo. He said the company's phasing out roles that are no longer aligned with our evolving policies. Which basically translated means the woke experiment failed. It fell on its ass, collapsed, and Americans tuned out. Nobody watches anymore. You recall President Trump sued 60 Minutes. Paramount also for $10 billion in damages, alleging they deceptively edited a damning interview with Kamala Harris on 60 Minutes. According to the lawsuit, Trump cited the immense harm caused to him, to his campaign, and to tens of millions of citizens in Texas and across America by CBS's deceptive broadcasting conduct. CBS deceptively cut out an answer she gave in the interview, replaced it with a completely different answer to a different question during this 2024 election cycle. Trump then announced a win in his lawsuit. $16 million settlement, far short of the billions he was looking for, but it's $16 million. Just like ABC, George Stephanopoulos, CBS, corporate owners, they all knew they had defrauded the American people, you and I, and they were desperate to settle this lawsuit. Anticipated receiving $20 million more from the new owners in advertising, PSAs, or similar programs for a total of over $36 million. That's a lot of carrots. Wow. So, like I said, bottom line, we're going to sit and wait. We're going to see. We'll see whether DeCopel's a man of his word or just another line of bull crap they're trying to gaslight us with. Time will out. We'll tune in. We'll see what you got to say, and we'll make our judgments from there. You got a big, once you lose our trust, getting it back, not an easy task at all. We shall see. Well, New York, you got a new mayor. Are you happy? Because you're going to get it good and hard. Mamdani's inaugural block party, Bolshevik style. No bread, no bathrooms, just pretty much plain old fatal. From the chat on Rumble, Trump wears Depends. What a great, great online name. Is there a call-in number for this show? We do not have a call-in number. Not a bad idea to bring that back, though. We did years ago. We used to have a call-in number, but we don't. So make a comment, put it in the chat if you like, but we don't have a way for you exactly to call in. You know, I will look at possibly bringing that back. We don't have a lot of call for it, which is part of the reason we took it away, because nobody used it. But yeah, sorry about that. Who is this clown? You mean this clown? This clown is Jay Sheldon. I'm 104 years old. I've been doing radio and television for most of my life, spent about 45 years in the business, both in film, television, radio, you name it, and then moved into online content. That's pretty much who I am. I host a live show here on Rumble, X, and sometimes YouTube, or we upload the show afterwards. And of course, it's also a podcast on Spotify and Apple iTunes. But if you mean me, that's pretty much the 30-second version of who I am. If you mean Ma'am Dammy or the CBS News anchor, they are who they are. Trump said Mamdani is going to do great. Are you calling him a liar? No, I'm not calling Trump a liar. I am saying that Mamdani's initial inaugural block party was a complete loser. There is one thing you can count on about socialism. It can, and it does, reduce a very wealthy city or state, or in some cases, nation, from prosperity to complete collapse, usually in about a generation. Always starts with big promises and then ends up with breadlines. Well, New York City, you're about to discover that fact because you morons elected this socialist idiot. He has now been officially inaugurated. He is your new mayor. In other words, a democratic socialist or a commie as mayor, stepping off the big promise line, headed for the breadlines. Zoran Mamdani, as he takes up his office, may very well have been making up Bernie Sanders look like Barry Goldwater. True commie style, he's stuck right in. Inaugural block party he had, ideally designed to get his constituents warmed up to the idea of collectivism. There was no food at his party, and there was no toilets. Oh, man. Welcome to Soviet New York. Politicians eat you. Figuratively speaking, of course, well, for now. This New York Post piece on this failed block party, funny as hell. Listen, backers of Mamdani stood outside City Hall during the inauguration without access to bathrooms and with no food concession stands as they crammed into barricade pens during the New Year's Day festivities. Revelers watched the inauguration on a series of big TV screens. 4,000 invited guests sat in City Hall Plaza while he took the oath of office. Not exactly what I was expecting, said Brooklyn resident Shane Turner, 30 years old, said, I was expecting some food and some music. I could have watched this from home, this 25-year-old Queens woman said. Now, to Shane Turner and her ilk, I would say, why didn't you expect it? Lack of food, lack of drink, lack of toilets. I thought that's what you voted for, right? This is how socialism turns out. And right off the bat, day one, hour one, you're getting it. Here's the thing. This is precisely what Mamdani promised to do. You got to give him a little grudging credit for that much. Unlike a lot of politicians, he is going to do exactly what he said he was going to do. His staff appointments to date would fit in at an Antifa rally, North Korean Politburo. His understanding of economics, well, it's about 5th century BC, I would say. Some herdsmen who thought the moon was a light shining through a hole in the roof. And to top it all off, this block party seemed less of a party and more of a mass re-education camp. Reveling prisoners standing out in the cold, hungry, thirsty, uncomfortable, befuddled, but then you'd have to be a little mucked up in the head to have even voted for this idiot moron in the first place, right? Big promises to breadlines, that's where you're headed, and I hope you're happy about it, because that is how socialism works. Not once in a while, every single time. Not to mention hundreds of millions of people socialist governments have killed since Karl Marx penned his vicious book. That, we can hope, won't happen in New York. It's still a city subject to the laws of the state of New York and the United States of America. But the breadlines, the flight of any remaining producing people, leaving the city in droves, New York is going to descend into a mess. Someone who looks a lot like a young Kurt Russell with an eye patch maybe be able to get you in and out of the city safely. Just you wait. Oh, man, this is going to be fun watching this guy. It's just a never-ending chain of stupidity. Speaking of political morons, he's back in the news again. Little Timmy Walls threw a tantrum. Aw. After he got his daycare funding spigot shut off, and he gets an epic ratio in return. Good on you. Things are not going well for Minnesota Governor Timmy Walls. He's in the middle of a swirling fraud scandal, getting blasted for not stopping it, as he should be. Trump admin took action earlier this week in order to cut off the money spigot. They're demanding receipts before any money goes out in the future. Audit of the daycare facilities, which are featured in Nick Shirley's video. Frozen all the payments. Now, if Walls had any sense at all, which he's proven time and time again, he doesn't. His response should have been, "Thank you for the help. We'll do everything we can to comply, and we will help ensure that this kind of fraud is stopped and never happens again." Take responsibility. Say you're going to clean things up. But it's Tim Walz, who, for whatever reason, simply cannot read a room. So, of course, he went into default mode number one, blame Trump. This was one for the books. Here's his post on X. "This is Trump's long game. We've spent years cracking down on fraudsters. It's a serious issue." This is Walz posting on X. "But this has been his plan all along. He's politicizing the issue to defund programs that help Minnesotans." No, Tim. Sorry. The Trump admin is asking that you pony up the proof before they shell out any money. He's not politicizing the issue. You are. That ought to be a very simple request. Why do you have an issue with it? Makes you go, doesn't it? Now, let me get this straight. According to Tim Walz, Trump's long game was Walz letting fraud happen in his state? Really? Is that really the delusional tantrum you're going to go with, Timmy? If he spent years cracking down on it, then why is it still happening? Republican Minnesota State Rep Kristen Robbins, chair of the Minnesota House Fraud Protection, Prevention, and State Oversight Policy Committee, said they told Walz about the daycare problem almost a year ago. And what did Timmy do? Squat all nothing. As typical, the Democrats always deflect to Trump, try to avoid any scrutiny, any spotlight shining on what they're doing. Trump had nothing to do with the fraud in Minnesota, folks. You know that. They know that. They just aren't going to admit to it. He is providing the kind of leadership we need in order to stop this. Since you're not going to get it from Democrats like Tim Walz. Walz understandably got hugely ratioed for his response. Republican Party of Minnesota, laughing at his excuse, they posted on X, "So we've reached the daycare fraud is really a Trump plot stage of the scandal." He also got skewed by one of those HHS guys in the video who shut off the spigot, Alex Adams. He's the Assistant Secretary for Admin for Children and Families, U.S. Health and Human Services. Billions flying out the door in fraud under Walz. Adams says he was asking orphans to pay for their own foster care and diverting their Social Security survivor benefits. Well, Adams said interrupting this ratio to also note that Walz is one of the governors asking orphans to pay for their own foster care. My long game is that Minnesota stops diverting Social Security survivor benefits from the American children whose parents are deceased. Now, Walz can throw all the tantrums he wants. He can try and turn that spotlight around onto Trump. Nobody's buying it. Nobody's believing it. And in the end, Timmy, you can't escape your actions. They told you more than a year ago what was going on, and you chose to ignore it. Why? Likely because you were benefiting from it. Now, you made your bed. Have a lie down. Marilyn, Karen, thanks for the backup. Trump wears Depends. You are welcome here. We invite you in. Whatever side of the aisle you fall on, we love to hear from people. So, by all means, thanks for your input. All right. We did, after we get through lambasting Mr. Little Timmy Walz, talk a little bit about good old Governor Newsom in California. Well, you know all the stories we've had about the CDLs, commercial driving licenses given out to illegal aliens, most of which who can't read or speak a lick of English, killing people on our roadways across the country. Guess what good old Governor Newsom wants to do? He wants to keep those idiots on the road. Yeah. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy hammered California Governor Gavin Newsom on Tuesday, this week, just a couple days ago, accused him of lying about supposed extensions for revoking thousands of commercial driving licenses that have been issued to non-citizens. Duffy been trying to crack down on this practice, putting out CDLs to truckers who at sometimes struggle to even understand basic English. or read basic road signs. You know, one of the reasons a stop sign, no matter where you go, is always that red octagon is because even if you can't read the word STOP, you know what the octagon red sign means. You don't have to read English, and yet still here we are. Common sense, having these kind of drivers, is nothing but dangerous and sometimes deadly. Secretary's fiery retort following a report that the California Department of Motor Vehicles is granting a 60-day extension to about 17,000 non-domiciled CDL holders. And that would push the revocation deadline, take their licenses away, from the 5th, which is like what, Monday, to March 6th. That gives you, almost 3 months to head on out there and kill more people. Great. Thanks, Gabby. The DMV said they have a need for additional time because they have to reissue corrected licenses. Duffy chiming in on social media, he suggested the Golden State cannot simply extend deadlines without his department's approval. Sorry, it don't work that way. Gavin Newsom, he writes on X, is lying. The deadline to revoke illegally issued, unvetted foreign trucker licenses is still January 5th. California does not have an extension to breaking the law and putting Americans on the roads at risk, and sometimes at risk of their lives. Wait, I'm sorry, you mean to tell me you just can't make the rules up out of thin air? Really? Huh, who knew? Maybe the Brill cream swept Gavin's dome starting to clog up the cognitive abilities up there. That's possible. Now, to be fair, the report only cites the actions as being attempted by the folks at the DMV. Doesn't indicate Newsom is behind this extension. But he's the governor. This dispute comes around from a 2025 federal Ford carrier safety admin audit that found systematic errors in California's non-domiciled CDL program. Non-domiciled, that's what they're calling it. Those include licenses with expiration dates extending beyond the driver's lawful U.S. presence. In other words, if you've got a visa to be here only until next March and your driver's license expires in June, it doesn't matter. You're supposed to be out of the country by March. Get out. Just this month, Duffy yanked an astonishing 17,000 illegal truckers in Newsom's state. Weeks of claiming they did nothing wrong, Gavin, California, been caught red-handed, and their lies all exposed. 17,000 illegally issued trucking licenses are being revoked. Just the tip, by the way, of the iceberg. Insane. And it's a serious issue. This is not just a political thing. It's not just a we hate illegal aliens. It's that these people are injuring and in some cases killing us on the roads. How many people? A lot. Who have lost their lives because of these idiots. Unbelievable. And speaking of idiots, we've got more. What? Wait, there's more. I love the headline from PJ Media. It says, "I'm just a poor boy, nobody loves me." Get this, y'all. Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela's narco-terrorist president, claims He is, you sitting down, poor. Oh, man. Trump has confirmed we've made our first land strike. That was earlier this week against the narco regime in Venezuela, Christmas Eve. Maduro's been largely silent about it, hasn't said much, and instead, he's ramped up his confident strongman act, claiming his loyal military has kept Goliath, otherwise known as the United States of America, at bay for 27 straight weeks. And now he's going for the humble act. Here's a quote from him. "I'm not a magnet, and I don't want material wealth in my life. I only have one account, a small savings account, where they deposit my little presidential salary, which I never see. I earn 2 petros," and he said while making a public address, "For what it's worth, petros are some sort of government-issued cryptocurrency that Maduro created back in 2018. They have since been discontinued. Best I can tell, 2 petros would be worth about 120 USD, something like that." He then added he doesn't even get to see that money because his wife takes it as soon as it hits the bank account, and she buys herself a little something. Oh, man. Cool story. But you may want to check your accessories before you start talking about that. I can verify this. A lot of ex-users, Grok, suggest that while he was telling this story about how poor he was and how little he makes and what he makes his wife takes, he was wearing a watch, which cost tens of thousands of dollars. Don't believe me? Check it out on Grok. A lot of ex-users. Maybe you'll believe Jorge Rodriguez, the president of the National Assembly of Venezuela, brother of Maduro's vice president, supposedly a lot of the brain behind the whole narco regime. After Maduro's "I'm just your poor, humble El Presidente" speech, the clip from July of 2024 is going viral on X. He's telling people to vote, but if you watch Rodriguez carefully, he nods at Maduro's watch as if warning him to, pull your sleeve down, hide the watch. Then Maduro attempts to pull his sleeve down over top of the watch. Now, I'm not a watch expert. A lot of people watched the clip and said it was a Rolex. Apparently, he must have been saving for years and years. Do we have the clip? Oh, we do. Here's the actual clip of Maduro. Tell me if you think, is that a Rolex? I can't tell.
Artículo del 1961 sometía, mediatizaba
Yeah, it does
la
kind of look
soberanía.
like.
Hoy la soberanía es directa y la estamos construyendo. Hoy hemos tenido esta elección tan bonita. Todavía quedan varias horas para votar.
Ah, you
Quedan
see that?
varias
You
todavía.
see that? Ah, nice try, pal. Ain't working. Hide the watch. I'm just a poor boy. Nobody loves me. He's just a poor boy from a poor family. What an idiot. Oh, man. George Washington. You ready for a story about George? We owe George Washington just about everything. Without George Washington, we likely would not this year be celebrating 250 years. Nobody looms larger in this story of our nation's struggle for independence than George Washington, who today seems almost mythical. You'd think these were made-up stories. This year marks the, what do they call it? Semi-quincentennial. That means 250 years. The celebration of the founding of this country, which we love. 56 delegates to the Second Congressional Congress unanimously adopted the Declaration of Independence, severed themselves from the British Crown, and formed a new body politic. Certainly the 4th of July going to rightly serve as the high watermark to all of our national festivities across the country. But in truth, it was not just the signing of that document that makes 250 years such a significant memorial. Everything that transpired in that fateful year, the British evacuation of Boston in March, Americans' disastrous defeat at the Battle of Long Island, August, American counterattack in New Jersey in December, Pulitzer Prize-winning author David McCullough's best-selling book, 1776, records no figure looms larger in all of these events than George Washington. As much as 2026, this year is America's year, we would do very well to remember that in large part that is happening because of this one absolutely remarkable hero, George Washington. Virginia planter, veteran of the French and Indian War, Washington in the summer of 1775 assumed leadership in the Continental Army, a position he told his wife Martha he had used every endeavor in his power to avoid. He didn't want it. But he was a man of duty, someone who recognized his previous military experience, his leadership abilities, made him perfectly suited to command a volunteer force of what really amounted to a bunch of tradesmen and farmers willing to put their lives on the line for independence, pitted against what is unarguably the best trained, best equipped, most probably formidable force on earth at that time, the British Army. As Washington admitted privately, he knew that the eyes of the entire continent would be on him with anxious anticipation, his words. During the siege of Boston, tremendous leadership qualities, character of George Washington came out. January 1776, he wrote in a private correspondence that he often thought how much happier he would have been if he'd simply entered the ranks of common soldiers instead of accepting command, or even to retreat into the back country beyond the reach of the British. Nevertheless, he writes, this is Washington himself, "If I shall be able to rise superior to these and many other difficulties which might be enumerated, I shall most religiously believe that the finger of Providence is in it, to blind the eyes of our enemies. For surely if we get well through this month, it must be for want of their knowing the disadvantages we labor under." Contra recent woke narratives have sought to undermine Washington's reputation. That ain't working because it holds fast. It was also Boston where he charitably corresponded with the Black, Providence-based poet Phyllis Wheatley. His poem about the general reads, "Proceed, great chief, with virtue on thy side. Thy every action let the goddess guide." And in response, Washington wrote, "I thank you most sincerely for your polite notice of me, and however undeserving I may be of such encomium and panegyric, the style and manner exhibit a striking proof of your great poetical talents." And he welcomed Wheatley to pay him a visit at his headquarters in Cambridge, Massachusetts. This is 1776, and the white George Washington inviting the Black poet Phyllis Wheatley to his headquarters in Cambridge. That in and of itself is a remarkable thing. After the evacuation of New York, the British believed the Americans had been whipped. Surrender was imminent. Congress shortly thereafter fled Philadelphia. 2 former members of Congress joined the British. Washington even accidentally discovered his close confidant, Joseph Reed. Fellow American General Charles Lee both believed that Washington wasn't up to the task. Another mark of his superior virtue, Washington never upbraided Reed about what he discovered in his private correspondence. Seems to have immediately forgiven him. By all reasonable signs, McCulloch writes, the war was over and the Americans had lost. And yet, amazingly, Washington appears to draw on untapped wells of energy, determination from such adversaries. His Excellency George Washington later wrote, never appeared to so much advantage as in the house of distress. What followed in the final months of 1776, now an integral part, of course, of our history and lore, Christmas crossing of the Delaware, victories at Trenton, Princeton, Washington successfully pleading with his very tiny army to just stay on well past their commissions into 1777. Like I said in the beginning, without George Washington, very likely this country would not be celebrating 250 years this year. We owe that man a huge debt of gratitude and every bit of our respect. George Washington. Yeah. We're going to wrap up here with one final little story. And this one, this is brilliant. They cut the video, sadly. And hang on a second, copy, okay. Here we go. Sadly, they cut the video. I don't know why, but they did. But what you're about to witness is something that happened on Christmas Eve, well, last year now, but just a week ago. A Michigan sheriff says he witnessed something that he had never in his life, and he's had a lifetime career in law enforcement. Not one time in this sheriff's life had he ever seen something like this happen. Every inmate inside this jail, one of the jail's largest pods, all came out of their cells, joined hands, and with no prompting from the staff, no encouragement, just of their own volition, held hands and started to recite the Lord's Prayer. This is Christmas Eve 2025. It is remarkable. I spend a lot of time on this show saying bad things about criminals because they deserve it. But that, my friends, is absolutely remarkable. Without being prompted, nobody told them what to do. And these prisoners from this largest pod in this jail came out of their cells, joined hands, and recited the Lord's Prayer. That's remarkable. Praise the Lord. All right, folks, thank you for popping by. Appreciate that. Trump wears depends. We thank you, too, for being here. In spite of all the horrible things you said, you are welcome here anytime. We love to have you, so feel free. Be sure and follow the show and give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Trump wears depends if you like. That's okay, too. We like it. We are live on X and Rumble Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We sometimes make it over to YouTube Live, and if not, we put our VOD, the recorded version, same show, just recorded, and we'll upload that after the fact to our YouTube channel. Again, The Jay Sheldon Show. Excuse me. Be sure and check out our sponsors, Blackout Coffee, the amazing American coffee company, which makes the best coffee on the planet. And of course, Patriot Mobile, our other great full-time sponsor here on the show, where you can get yourself all the wireless service that you need from a company that cares about our Christian conservative values. Thank you, Patriot Mobile. We appreciate you being along for the ride and helping to support the show. All right. Enjoy your weekend. Spend it with somebody you love. And I'll see you right back here Monday morning.